Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. The question we hear asked every now and then is, will Tesla keep selling cars to the public? Firstly, for those of you who don't understand what we're talking about and are thinking, well, obviously they'll keep selling cars. That's how Tesla make their money, selling cars to people. Well, we're referring to the robotaxis. Why sell a car that may produce about $50,000 a year income for, well, about $50,000? Of course, Tesla still obviously receive a large cut from any taxi revenue in the fleet, but if customers are letting their own cars out in the fleet, then they're also going to want a decent return. I think entering the robotaxi market is not going to be without its list of problems. What are we really trying to ask here? Will Tesla be willing or wanting to run individual taxis, including having to deal with all the charging, cleaning, maintenance, and storage? This is not going to be a video on calculating how much more money Tesla would earn if they ran robotaxis all by themselves with their own fleet, although we may make a rough guess. We're just going to see how much effort it might be for Tesla to run their own robotaxi fleet and what could be involved. Well, first off, perhaps by the time Tesla can actually run robotaxis isn't until 2025 or much later. Either way, by that stage, let's say that there are at least 5 million Model 3s and Ys in the US. 5 million potential robotaxis. Remember, some Model 3s would be 8 years old or more by then, and some will have hundreds of thousands of miles on the clock. Tesla owners may rather put these Teslas into the robotaxi fleet rather than selling them privately. And perhaps that's what a whole lot of robotaxis will be, the used Teslas. However, the vast majority on the road, at least in the US, by this stage, will be with 4680 batteries. Therefore, there is already a reasonable fleet of robotaxis in the US if necessary. Elon has talked in the past about how Tesla may be owning some vehicles, or robotaxis too. Now perhaps don't read into this as much as you think. It's not actually the robotaxi that is necessarily scarce, as the robotaxi cost is about $50,000, maybe an extra $20,000 or $30,000 with FSD if Tesla requires FSD to be purchased as a requirement for you to enter your car into the network, or maybe subscription possibly. If one robotaxi brings in $50,000 of revenue a year, then the price of the vehicle is quickly recovered, and Tesla can print out millions of these cars a year, and millions own them already. So what is the real value? What is scarce? It's real estate. If you have somewhere to store cars, a spare car park or garage that obviously has access to power, and if these parking spaces are in good locations in cities, then suddenly they could be a lot more valuable. Therefore, if Tesla does use their own vehicles in the fleet, I hope they would pay people to maintain these cars at least, in good locations of where robotaxi demand is high. Otherwise it wouldn't be in line with the mission if Tesla ended up just building great big new multi-story car parks to store and maintain robotaxis, or if they were just parked in the city everywhere, taking our parking spaces, or adding to the traffic. No one would really want that. The thing is, if Tesla make use of the community, then it would also mean that Tesla don't need tons more charging stations around the cities either, as the robotaxis are charging at these people's houses. Perhaps the robotaxi owner or maintainers would likely have power walls and solar, so they're saving on energy too. There doesn't need to be extra chargers for robotaxis. There doesn't need to be over-engineered automated chargers. The taxis can just be charged at the owner's houses every night. These robotaxis may have a range of 200 to perhaps 400 miles a day, and once the battery is low, it returns to the parking spot for charging. Basically, I think it would be on the duty of Tesla to make sure the robotaxis have the best environmental impact on everything. We don't want it to suddenly increase even more car parks in cities as they're suddenly so much more valuable. Suddenly every 50-foot squared or so car park space is now worth $25,000 a year as a robotaxi spot, resulting in even more car parks. This would not be good. I'm not sure how Tesla would play this one out. Perhaps there'll be a caveat if you're a robotaxi owner that there must be parking availability for your Tesla 24 hours 7 days a week. This could end up being similar as to what happened to Airbnb, how suddenly in various cities the prices of apartments and properties increased so much as suddenly you could rent them out for say $400 a night. Well, now suddenly if you live within a close enough proximity to a city and have a garage, then suddenly your garage might also increase in value. In fact, ironically enough, it might even be more incentive for other people to get rid of owning a car and use robotaxis. Why? Well, what if a couple within a city have a 2-car garage with 2 cars, and they could sell 1 car and use the garage space for a robotaxi for income? There is now a higher opportunity cost of them owning a car due to the scarce parking spaces that a robotaxi could now take up. It's an interesting dynamic. And why this couple? Why not just anyone? Well, if they're in a city, then it's a more valuable spot. How can spots be more valuable? Well, I have a feeling that it will cost more to get a robotaxi in, say, New York or Sydney, where land is very valuable and dense, than it would, say, in Houston, where land is more sparse. I know we talk about perhaps $25,000 a year income for running a robotaxi, but surely it's going to be higher in some cities. If you have a good place in a good city, could it be closer to $100,000 even? Could the prices be that high? I've done some estimates as to how low the costs might be, but we don't really know how much profit Tesla will add to that. And what if robotaxis were not even able to recharge in the cities, as there is no way to self-charge? It would mean there is a barrier to entry to anyone not in the city, or losing perhaps 50 to 100 miles of range for the robotaxi having to go in and out of the city each day. There might be other third-party services that do offer charging, and they have people there to charge a robotaxi in the city, but it would probably be very expensive. This might mean that a long range is necessary if you are not able to run a robotaxi within the city. Now, even though a robotaxi will likely cost less than an Uber, it's still a better product than an Uber. You get to be in the car alone. It's a more luxurious and comfortable car. Obviously, the great entertainment, and it's much safer. It is worth paying more for than an Uber. Therefore, demand should be higher. Yet we expect prices to be lower, as they will be, because there can be so much more supply than an Uber, because there are so many more robotaxis that are willing to work for no wage than there are Uber drivers. Robotaxis will be a better product at a lower price, so demand will be insane. If robotaxis become as big as we might think, then along with reshaping transport, it would also reshape real estate. Parking in cities would have a new opportunity cost of using that parking spot to maintain a robotaxi. Again, the crazy thing is, this could make parking too expensive in a city, thus resulting in even more robotaxi spots, or robotaxi stands if you like. I mean, it wouldn't stop at private ownership either. There could be a business side to it as well. It may mean, for example, any multi-storey car park building is suddenly more valuable by maintaining robotaxis from this location instead. Perhaps rental car companies like Hertz might find the same too, and their job will be similar. All their locations of maintaining rental vehicles could easily become maintaining robotaxis. You might think Tesla may eventually have humanoid robots to maintain these robotaxis in the future, and therefore do not need anyone else to help them or take any of their profits. Except that, like we're saying, it's not just about the actual cars and the maintenance, it's the real estate too. I think this will be the element the robotaxis come down to, and the way Tesla can leverage a massive amount of growth by using the community. And like I said, Tesla could also share their own fleet with anyone willing to sign up and maintain these taxis. For those of you who are wondering about what if the taxis do this or the passengers do that, just remember there are trillions of dollars available to throw at any potential issues. Tesla could have staff in every city perhaps that are able to look after these taxis. I think the community could be a vital part of robotaxis too, and Tesla could share a huge amount of the profits it generates back to the community. I'm sure you all know of companies like Lime Scooters and how they work. They use the community to maintain their scooters. People collect these scooters when the battery is low and charge them at home, and they receive a commission, and then they go put them out on the streets again. There is work involved and costs in electricity and time to do these jobs. Again, Tesla could offer a similar job. People are there to look after and maintain robotaxis, keep them charged, look after them if anything breaks down. Tesla will likely take all insurance responsibility, provided any robotaxi maintenance hasn't been in breach, such as tyres not being replaced and affecting handling, for example. If a passenger damages your Tesla and your Tesla is off the road to be repaired, then I would hope Tesla do compensate the owner of the Tesla for the downtime. The great thing about Teslas is that they are so reliable. This might be similar to how Tesla plans on dealing with solar a great part too. A lot of it will be the community, on top of people's roofs and batteries in their garages, or just outside. As a shareholder, you may want Tesla to own 100% of the robotaxi fleet and thus profit. But do you really want Tesla spending a massive amount of resources working out where to store all these robotaxis and charge them and keep them clean, etc.? This is a huge job and so basic that literally anyone can do this. And they have people standing by, ready to do these jobs and even provide the vehicles for it. We want fewer car parks, not more. It would go against the mission. I hope Tesla go to the community for the robotaxi maintenance. Imagine this, how I've spoken in the past about how if Tesla's robots replace so many jobs and Elon is an advocate of universal basic income, that it should be Tesla that offers UBI, as no government can afford to. And I've spoken about how Tesla could give income in the form of kilowatt hours or something possibly. But maybe if someone doesn't have a job, then perhaps Tesla's universal basic income could be that you receive income for maintaining a robotaxi. It's a fairly easy job and perhaps gives enough income to live on if Tesla has deflated a lot of costs due to lower cost energy. Okay, either way, I don't think it would make sense to not use the community to help maintain their robotaxis. Whether the community get to own their own robotaxi they're maintaining is a different subject. I think some will, but whether Tesla keep allowing that is another story. And will Tesla keep allowing any sale of their vehicles to the public? If Tesla do go to the community, like Airbnb or Uber, then I think it could work best. Tesla could have the most taxi spots in every city. They will be everywhere as people offer them up for robotaxis. The better locations will receive higher fares and likely more fares, resulting in more profit, thus making any car parking spot within cities that are accessible to power that much more valuable. And perhaps Tesla also would give priority to the fares that are within the base of the robotaxi. The price of robotaxis will likely be based on supply and demand. If a dense city doesn't have as many per capita, then they will likely cost more. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.